friends, welcome back to Inktober. Today is day 14 and the prompt is Narcissus. So, let's get on with it.
Well, the long and short of the Narcissus story is that Narcissus is a very beautiful young man, and he basically falls in love with his own reflection and ends up drowning in his own reflection. He is a mortal, and it's pretty obvious what the message is, that vanity is not such a great thing, and if you're too obsessed with it, you can forget about everything else. So here I wanted a little bit of that storytelling aspect going on, and that's something I've been trying to add more of into my artwork recently. So that's been one of the things I've been trying to do in Inktober. So this is the moment, or one of many moments, where Narcissus is staring at his reflection, and I wanted this to feel a little bit otherworldly. So we've got Narcissus and his reflection, but there really isn't a barrier between him and the water, him and the reflection. There's not really any sense of a shoreline or anything. He's almost floating in this unreal river. So as you'll see when I add a few more of those details, there's this kind of swoosh going through the whole piece, and it's meant to feel like he is both of the river and in the river, and that it's kind of swallowing him up. And that's also kind of his psyche as well. So it's all consuming, that he's a part of this visual. So I wanted the whole thing to feel very beautiful as well, because the story is about beauty, even though it's quite an ugly story. The fact that he drowns, it is about sort of the follies of beauty. So I'm not sure how well all of that comes across, but I think it does end up looking quite otherworldly, which was certainly the idea. And somebody asked me to talk about colours and how I choose a colour palette for a piece, which is a really good question, because I am still trying to figure that out myself. Generally speaking, what I try to do is I think about the story and what kind of emotion I want to evoke from it. So in this case, I wanted to evoke a kind of serenity and magic that comes with the story. So when I think about these colours, I think about sort of blues and purples, really deep colours, the kinds of colours you can drown in, and that seemed kind of appropriate for the sea as well, or the lake or pool that he's looking into. As you can see here, I've just gone over that reflection with a wash of the same colour I've used in the background, so it's a mix of blue and black, and then I've mixed in water so that it's more transparent, as a little aside. And yeah, it's actually quite an intuitive thing, and I think that's sometimes the difficulty, is explaining how you do something when it comes quite intuitively. It's a little bit like composition, although I would say that composition is more intuitive to me than colours are. I do find colours quite challenging, even though I know the theory. It's always been the most difficult part for me, choosing the right colours, because there are so many choices there. And also the difficulty with doing traditional work like this is that you have to make those decisions at the beginning. Once you've started, it's very hard to change the colours. So if I wanted to go in and change the background colour, really the only thing I could do at this point would be to paint it black. And I mean, I didn't want to do that, but you're very limited in what changes you can make. Whereas if I were doing this digitally, I could do all the line work and everything, and then make the decisions with the colour later on. So that's been a bit of a learning curve with Inktober, is just figuring out how to do that and make those plans ahead of time. I did make a kind of colour sketch of this beforehand, and I did that digitally just because it's quicker to change up what colours I was using. And yeah, maybe this isn't the best example to use because the colours are very simple, and I can talk more about colours later on when I do something that's a little bit more complicated. But yeah, in this case, it was very much to evoke that emotion, and that's how I treat colour. I treat it like figurative language, like poetry. It's meant to evoke a feeling in you, and I think colour is one of the best ways you can do that in a visual piece. So yeah, that's colour. Like I said, I do find this very challenging, so I don't feel totally qualified to be able to talk about this. But I mean, in other ones, I've wanted to have a real feeling of antiquity, and I've wanted to reference ancient Greek artworks. So I've used those colours that you would see on Greek vases, like, was it yesterday's one? No, a couple of Inktober videos ago, when I talked about the kind of coppery colours I was using for the Hera illustration. And yeah, then I decided to do these stars over this kind of swoosh that's happening and make it all feel a little bit magical, like he's in some kind of enchantment. He's under a spell, but he's under his own spell. And yeah, like I said, I was kind of nervous about this. The other reason is that I did not use any reference for the figure on this, which I'm not sure if that shows. I don't think he has maybe enough fluidity to him, but I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out, given how worried I was about it to start with. So yeah, there's Narcissus. I hope you've enjoyed this little exploration of colour, and I will see you in tomorrow's video for Nyx, Goddess of the Night. Bye!